Hello everybody, Tyrone TG3 here. We've already discussed two videos when it comes to the character roster of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi pending, but we'll say 4 for the sake of the video. But now I want to talk about some of the mechanics and game modes that I think should be in the game. Just little touch things that would make for a very nice Dragon Ball Z game that I haven't really seen in a while. Dragon Ball Z games have their charm, all of them do in some way, shape, or form, or at least the major ones, the ones that most people do remember, and even the ones that aren't that great still have their own charm. Talking Ultimate Battle 22, Final Bout, hell, even Dragon Ball Sagas. For as bad as those games are, they have something in them that brings your attention, something that gets you to want to play them. And honestly, I think we need a return of those. Dragon Ball FighterZ does a really good job having its own level of charm as the current Dragon Ball Z game that's out, or at least the most up-to-date Dragon Ball Z game that's out now, next to Xenoverse 2, which honestly, for hilarity's sake, I hope keeps making DLC. I hope Xenoverse 2 just makes DLC to the end of time. I hope it becomes like the Just Dance for the Wii situation, where we just keep getting it years after the fact. But going back to Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4, there's a lot of things, not just in the Budokai Tenkaichi series, but the Budokai series in general, that I want to make a reappearance. That if you watch some of my streams, which I'm currently doing on Wednesdays, if you want to see my Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi streams, I talk about in depth about things that make the Dragon Ball series, well, pop in the world of video games. There's a lot of anime video game series that are out, or at least a lot of anime series that have been made into video games, and some of them work, some of them flop. What makes them work so well is the amount of charm that they put into them, so that keeps the player from wanting to keep playing. And honestly, some of these things I think have been missing, or honestly, they have been very absent for long amounts of time and only make a reappearance in certain games. So, let's get straight to it. Budokai Tenkaichi 4, I feel everything should start off with the main hub, or at least the main menu. I know this doesn't seem like a big deal, but I noticed recently a lot of Dragon Ball games aren't really doing like interaction with the main menu. For example, you're not saying like hey, it's me, Goku. Which mode would you like to play? Fight against powerful warriors across the world, or train so that you can build your strength. Work hard and become the strongest. A world tournament. Sounds exciting. A lot of tough enemies will be there. Fight head to head with your friends, hoping for a tough battle. You know what I'm talking about, just like little moments where the characters get to like explain these little things. Yeah, they can be very annoying if you toggle through them, but that also gives you the option to go into the options menu and turn those volumes off if you don't want to hear them. Obviously, that also would hinder your chances of hearing the voices during the fights, but that obviously that can make it an option during the main menu. If you want the main menu options voices to go off, then you can lower that volume, but still keep the sound effects and voices that are in battle. Just get more in depth into it. I see no problem with that. But yeah, I would definitely like that. It feels like it would be a really good level of charm to see that happen. Nowadays, I don't really see that happen. When you enter a Dragon Ball Z menu, you just sort of press start and the game just begins. It feels so far removed. I like when like Goku's at the main menu because he's the main character, but then you'll go into like dueling mode and like Vegeta or Trunks will be there because they're like fighting characters, and like it'll be like, which mode would you like to play? Or Vegeta will be like, who do you want to fight against? Or something like that. It's just that, or Piccolo will be in the training because, you know, he trained Gohan, so it makes sense. It'll be like, hone your skills in training. See how long you can fight, or something. Like, just something really to let you know these characters are involved. Bulma can be in like the options menu because you're messing with the settings of the game. So it makes sense. She'll be like, which options would you like? Or something like that. Or like the store. I loved in Budokai 3 when Launch would go between store. Like if you go in the store and she sneezes, you get the blonde Launch that's threatening to shoot you. And if you leave the store, she sneezes and becomes regular Launch again. That was fun. Like, and they also had different dialogue based on that. Even in Budokai 2, if you enter the store, you might see one Bulma, but you can buy different outfits for Bulma, like the one bunny outfit she wore in Dragon Ball. Or you can buy the outfit she had during the Cell Saga. You could flip between these and see different types of Bulmas. It was a nice touch. Just little things that made, like Chi-Chi being in the encyclopedia in Raging Blast 1 and 2. Like, that's always fun. Or the Budokai Tenkaichi series where she does the encyclopedia stuff. I feel like little touches like that would really make it nice. Even in Tenkaichi 3, they had 17 and 18 in the Dragon Ball Red Ribbon Army Arena thing and the disc fusion situation. That was cool. I love that. We need more moments like that where the characters interact with the player to really let them know, one, what type of personality these characters have, and two, how things would work in that situation. I just feel like that would be really good. Beerus and Whis would definitely be great characters. Like, Whis can show you like events that happen using his little staff, and he'd be like, which replay would you like to watch, or something. Or Beerus can be like in the store area or the customization of like, build powerful fighters so that I can find worthy for an opponent, or something like that. I feel as though we have so many different things we can play with now. I would definitely love to see us be able to work around that. Maybe have different story modes, have a story mode with just villains, and have the villains talk and be like, watch us take those pathetic Saiyans down, or something. Like, just little quotes and things that would definitely pop and bring the game to life. So that's one thing. Another thing I think we should definitely have in the Budokai Tenkaichi 4 game in terms of mechanics, we definitely need to have a really good training mechanic. And what I mean by that is not the tutorial mode. The tutorial mode can obviously teach you the basics like always, but the as far as training options, Raging Blast 1 and 2 had really good training options where you could pretty much have the computer do almost anything, and I feel as though we don't quite have that option in this game. Well, we don't have those options in the modern Dragon Ball games. Well, modern Dragon Ball games, yeah, we get a lot. I would say Fighters gave us a lot because it's a fighting game, and it's definitely trying to bring those, but I feel like we need more technical options. Something to really, like, some very specific things, like having the opponent block upwards or downwards, or sway, or stuff like that. Having the opponent only power up. Having the opponent fly in the air. Having the opponent be focused on running away from you. Have the opponent be focused on attacking you. Only using Ki Blast. Only using Energy Blast. Things that are very specific and meticulous, but for a reason. Another thing I think should be included in terms of mechanics, at least within fighting mechanics. I understand this game is taking heavily from Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi, but the Raging Blast series does a good job with combos. Case in point, in Dragon Ball Raging Blast and Raging Blast 2, when you hit your opponent with a certain combination of attacks, a yellow flash will appear across the screen. When that happens, you have the opportunity to follow up with a different type of combo. If the combos are both compatible and work, then the combo continues, because the cancel connects the two together to chain them to make a more effective combo. If they don't, the game will very clearly tell you that those two combos aren't compatible by showing a red flash that goes across the screen, showing that there's a cooldown period in certain combos that you can and can't do. And if you try to repeat them over and over, the cooldown pretty much stops you from spamming that combo over and over. This is to prevent you from using combos that would otherwise be endless and knocking the opponent out. So it mostly relies on skill of you, the player, knowing which combos work together and which combos don't. It's a little bit of a learning curve, and it's a bit meticulous sometimes, but once the payoff is that you, the player, are effectively learning each character. Every character had different ones. Some were similar, obviously, like, for example, Vegeta and, I almost hit Kaba. Vegito and his younger brother, Tarble, they had combos that were sort of similar, but Tarbles were just the weaker versions of Vegeta's. Makes sense because Tarble is Vegeta's younger brother. So some of their combos were very similar, but they were different. Trunks and Vegeta have similar combos as well. Goku, Gohan, they have similar combos, but with slight differences. I know Super Saiyan 2 Gohan has a far different combo setup than, say, Super Saiyan 1 and base form Gohan, but they're still there. The customization, I believe, should take heavily from Raging Blast and not Tenkaichi. Tenkaichi has a decent customization setup. The problem is some of those were locked. For example, there were certain characters that would have 8 slots that are open, but there were certain characters that would only have 4. Reason being is what you had to do was use a certain customization slot that can unlock the other slots, but that would take up a slot in and of itself too. So you would do that, and this was probably to create balancing so certain characters wouldn't be able to beat others. But if you equipped a capsule to one, or not a capsule, a Patara earring to one of those characters, it unfortunately would limit them. It'd be like, oh, your attack goes up, but your defense goes down by 3. Oh, this brings your attack up by 1, but brings your defense down by 1 as well. But it takes up only 1 slot. This brings your attack up by 4, but it brings your defense down by 2, and it takes up a slot. The problem here is that your options seemed very limited. Whereas in Raging Blast 1 and 2, it worked sort of like a Tetris thing. Bigger, better skills would take up more space. However, if you know Tetris and you know how to position certain pieces correctly, then your bigger skills can take up less space if you put them to the corners, obviously. Making your smaller spaces go inside, allowing you to equip more fun stuff. Also, you would have small spaces, like 1 square spaces, where you can equip things that would very much help out a character. For example, changing their aura or adding lightning to their aura. Very small aesthetic things that don't drastically change the character, but look different aesthetically and look really nice and appealing to the eyes. These don't take up a lot of spaces. Stronger ones took up bigger spaces, but the trade-off is that you can position them in different areas. The other trade-off is that you can customize them to each transformation. For example, you can make base form Goku an all-around fighter, but then make Super Saiyan Goku more focused on energy blasts, and then make Super Saiyan 2 Goku more focused on physical attacks. Then finally, you can make Super Saiyan 3 Goku focused on everything, but make it over the top. They take more blocks, obviously, but you'll have a stronger character as a result. Or, if you're lazy, you can just copy and paste each deck over to each other character. So I think that was a very good system. Raging Blast 2, unfortunately, kinda got rid of it. Kinda. They replaced it with something else that was a little weirder. But I do like Raging Blast 1's use of customizing characters. I thought that was a really nice touch. Another mechanic that I think should stay is, or come back at least, is the Dragon Balls themselves. I feel as though we haven't run into a lot of stories that utilize the Dragon Balls for real. Like, they're the ones that are in the game, so I find it very odd that you don't get to collect these anymore in most games. In Xenoverse, I don't think you have technically you do have a collect the Dragon Ball situation, but it doesn't feel as like there. It doesn't feel as interactive as it should be. I am saying this from playing Budokais 1, 2, and 3, as well as Tenkaichi 1 currently on my channel. There are modes where when you fight in the story or if you fight in some other way, shape, or form, you were rewarded with a Dragon Ball if you did an extra or very specific task. I honestly am a big fan of the idea where if we did a story mode or a challenge mode or a Z battle gate, something that shows that you're playing the main storyline or campaign of the game, that what you can do is once you're playing the main game, if you fill out some conditions, normally, then you get rewarded. But if you fill out very secret or exclusive conditions, say for example, defeat Vegeta, that's a normal condition. Defeat Vegeta on hard, that gives you extra zenny, I guess, or money, so you can spend at the store. Then there's defeat Vegeta in a beam struggle with Kamehameha versus Gallic Gun. That would be a secret condition, and thus your reward for completing that secret condition would be a Dragon Ball. And if you do enough secret conditions, you can get Dragon Balls in each part of the story. That would be your reward. Obviously, there would be a bunch of different secret conditions, and you're awarded a Dragon Ball. Once you have all 7, then you can just go ahead and wish upon Shenron. But you can do each of these secret things at any point in time. You just have to make sure that they're set. Win a beam struggle with Cell using the father-son Kamehameha. Boom, you get a Dragon Ball. Like, very iconic moments in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, I guess, if it's going to be in the game, that will allow you to get a Dragon Ball. I honestly think that would be really cool and a really nice touch. And if not that, then definitely a search mode that allows you to fly around the world and find the Dragon Balls manually, given some condition. Or maybe even a Dragon Ball battle. When you go to a certain area, you fight an enemy or a villain or something, and then your reward for beating them would be a Dragon Ball. But these enemies are extremely hard to beat. They are cranked up to the max, but your reward for the battle is a Dragon Ball. Either way, I feel the Dragon Balls need to be more involved in the games now. I feel like we've gone through a lot of games recently where we don't really get the Dragon Balls. And fighters, you get Dragon Balls by doing different things, but most fights, at least in competitive, rarely show the dragon appear. I think I've seen the dragon at Evo show up like once, maybe twice. But I really feel like the Dragon Balls should be these tangible items in the game that you can get, that you're rewarded for doing really hard work, and thus you're rewarded and you're allowed your wishes. And then maybe you can fill certain conditions in order to get different Dragon Balls. Like, for example, you can do the Dragon Ball GT half of a story, and if you complete the GT half of a story really well, then you're rewarded a Black Star Dragon Ball. And once you get all 7 Black Star Dragon Balls, then you're allowed to get wishes that are a lot better. Like, you can get more, you can get rare items, or certain characters that can only be unlocked this way, like Super Android 17 or Sin Shenron or something, I don't know. You can get the Super Dragon Balls from Dragon Ball Super, which are these giant ones. Maybe they could throw like a tournament. Yeah, there'll be like a cool little tournament. And every time you win the tournament, you get 1 Super Dragon Ball. And when you gather all 7 of the Super Dragon Balls, then you're allowed to wish for very specific things. Like very exclusive things that you wouldn't be able to get in any other situation. So it's something very cool. So an alternate way. So you get the regular Dragon Balls during the story. You get the Black Star ones during like the GT half of the story. And then you get the Super Dragon Balls doing other tasks. I just, again, feel like the Dragon Balls need to be a very nice, palpable source that we as the player need to involve with. So other things that I can think of right off the top of my head, mechanics wise, I believe there also needs to be a, I believe there needs to return the World Tournament. The World Tournament definitely needs to return, especially since we have online now, and we definitely need a spectator mode for those. I believe Fighters and Xenoverse kind of cover these, but I definitely feel like if we're moving into a new Budokai Tenkaichi game, then it's definitely going to be justice if we have a World Tournament mode. And I also believe that the company, the producers that make the game, should throw tournaments of their own. Like just tournaments that have different prizes behind them. Maybe you can get, once you win enough tournaments, you get invitationals, and you get to do fun stuff like that. Making it super competitive, I don't think they need to make it like as competitive as Fighters is with Evo, but I do feel like nice little fun prizes would be there. Make it a secondary competitive game, something that isn't quite on the same level as Fighters, but like fun. If you win, then you get like, I don't know, a signed poster from Sean Schimmel or something. Or if you you get to fly out and have like a fun little like Dragon Ball vacation or something. So, something where when the companies do it, it's very rare that these tournaments happen, but when they do happen, you get fun little prizes for them. Nothing too heavy on the money side, because again, that's mostly Evo's situation. I think it'd just be fun, just to have a fun little community. I mean, right now we're in the era where online is very prominent, and the last game we had in the Tenkaichi series was Tenkaichi 3, which had online, but it was mostly for the Wii, and we all know how the Nintendo Wii was with its online. It was questionable at best. So I think that having a nice, palpable online system for Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 would be a very nice touch. So, with that being said, I think that's pretty much all I'm going to say for mechanics for now. Obviously, I will be able to come back and talk about a couple of other things as the months go by, and I believe as time passes, we might get more information on Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4, and I'll definitely give some input on that. But with that said, I will see you all then, everybody. Tyrone TG3 out. If you want to know where most of my time is spent, head on over to my Twitch channel to watch me stream games on Tuesdays through Thursdays, as well as Saturdays and Sundays. Also, be on the lookout on the PokePod, a podcast stream on my friend KG Prestige's channel, as we discuss the latest Pokemon anime episodes, as well as anime, manga, video games, and other fun topics. That's it. Go do those other things. This video's over.